This video overviews the Santa Cruz Sandhills and furthermore addresses some of the rare plants and animals that live here and the importance of recreating responsibly in this delicate ecosystem. Stay tuned. Hey everybody, it's Dylan McManus with California State Parks talking to you from an area of Henry Cowell Redwoods State Park known as the New Acquisition. Now this landscape is part of what's without a doubt the most jeopardized ecosystems of the park, arguably the entire bioregion, the Santa Cruz Sandhills. Now, this does not mean that we shouldn't hike, bike, and recreate in this ecosystem, but it does mean that we need to do those things mindfully, conscientiously, and in the right place because there are a handful of exceptionally rare and unique characteristics of the Sandhills, and it's up to each and every one of us to find the balance between recreation and conservation. After all, this is the mission statement of California State Parks. So today, we're gonna go for a walk in the New Acquisition, and we are going to try and observe some of these characteristics, chat a little bit about their disposition, possibly their ecological roles, and furthermore, the rationale behind responsible recreation in the Santa Cruz Sandhills. Let's get started. It's likely one of the first things you notice about this ecosystem is all of the sand. It looks like a moonscape or something. The fascinating thing about this sand is that, whoa, everyone look who it is. This is Emily Teckler. She's the park's geology superstar. Emily, we were just noticing all of this lovely sand. Can you talk to us a little bit about it?
Absolutely. So to know the story of this sand, we have to go back 10 million years.
Way back then, this sandstone was at the bottom of a shallow ocean. Sea level eventually dropped, bringing the sandstone above water. The sandstone underwent erosion, creating the wonderful sand we see here. Over a long time, the San Andreas Fault had many earthquakes that changed the landscape so that this former ocean was brought up to mountain height.
This sand can't be found anywhere else. That's a part of what makes the Santa Cruz Sandhills so unique.
That totally rocks, Emily. Thanks so much for sharing.
You're welcome. I'm sure I'll see you again.
This is incredible. I'm hearing a blue-gray gnatcatcher. It's a very small bird species that I have never seen in this park. And it's somewhere very close. I'm gonna see if I can get a better view for you folks. But the records, the documentations of blue-gray gnatcatchers in this area of the county are far and few between. So it's incredible that there are blue-gray gnatcatchers here in the Sandhills. Okay, take a look. 6 years working here and I have never seen a blue-gray gnatcatcher before. Absolutely amazing. Although I don't know too much about blue-gray gnatcatchers, what I can tell you is that they're associated with chaparral habitats and pine species. So I guess, I'm not too surprised that I'm finding them here in the Sandhills of all places in the park. That is so cool and absolutely teaches us that, hey, there's a lot of unique and cool stuff in the Santa Cruz Sandhills. Oh my gosh. Ooh, okay. Here is an extremely bizarre plant species that occurs in the Santa Cruz Sandhills. This is a ground cone. It's named after its superficial appearance to different cone types. Let me see if there's a cone nearby. Oh yeah, okay. Here's a cone from a ponderosa pine. You can kind of see the visual similarities. And hey, look at that. There's actually a third one right back there. Ground cones grow at the base of manzanita shrubs, so it makes good sense that they occur here in the Sandhills because that's also where 3 different species of manzanitas occur. Ground cones actually depend on manzanitas because they steal their sugar. Ooh, the drama. That's right. This is a parasitic plant, meaning it does not photosynthesize, but rather steals food from other plants. What an absolutely unique lifestyle. Now this is one of the few areas in the park where ground cones are documented. And look at that, they're growing immediately adjacent to the trail. What a fantastic reminder that not only are Sandhills plants unique and rare, but it's also important for us to watch our step and make sure that we are recreating responsibly. Check this out. There's an orange hummingbird right here. The hummingbirds in our park can generally be classified into two distinct groups. The orange birds, there are two species. These are the migratory hummingbirds and the pink birds. This is only a single species. These birds are residents. They remain here in the park year-round. Let's see if we can get a closer look at this hummingbird. The orange birds arrive at a time that coincides with blooming huckleberry, manzanita, and monkey flower, so they're pollinators of these plant species. The plants support the birds, and the birds support the plants. But alas, the two species of orange hummingbirds have declining populations because they depend on large, undeveloped areas with minimal disturbance. And in this day and age, those spaces are getting smaller and smaller. And that's a concern, my friends, because hummingbirds are a keystone species, meaning that they are a big reason that the ecosystem as a whole remains healthy and functional. We can compare hummingbirds and their role as keystone species to the final block we pull during a game of Jenga, right before the collapse of the entire tower. If this analogy makes zero sense to you and you've never played the game Jenga, please do so ASAP. I promise you will not regret it. It is a ton of fun. We ought to end on a positive note, however, because the two species of orange hummingbirds are still very much alive. They're here in the park and they will continue to flourish so long as we offer a bit of stewardship. That means leaving areas undisturbed. In other words, stick to designated trails, my friends. Let's keep going and see what else we can find. Aw, yeah. Here is a plant that at first glance seems to be plentiful and not in any harm's way. However, this plant is currently listed on California Native Plant Society's rare and endangered list. This is a species of manzanita known as silverleaf or Bonnie Doon manzanita. Silverleaf manzanita is state listed due to its endemism, or the fact that it occurs nowhere else in the entire world, just here in the Santa Cruz Sandhills, and because of its important role in supporting many different pollinator species, such as hummingbirds, California bumblebees, and a few other bee species, in addition to a handful of moth and butterfly species. Here's a clip of a California bumblebee on a chemise plant, and although this is not silverleaf manzanita, California bumblebees are indeed important pollinators of the silverleaf manzanita. Surely we all know the value of supporting pollinators and how much we as humans depend on them. That means supporting pollinators is critical for our own health, in addition to supporting their food sources, like the silverleaf manzanita. That's really neat. Let's push on. It is absolutely gorgeous today. Oh, well. Look who it is again.
Howdy.
What are you up to?
I'm just checking out the erosion on this trail here.
Oh, interesting. Can you talk to us a little bit more about erosion?
Absolutely. Erosion is something that happens when a rock like this sandstone gets worn down naturally and is moved by something like wind or water.
Erosion usually happens so slowly that we can't watch it come about. But here, we can see the impact that erosion has had on the trail very clearly. Wind and water are not the only drivers of erosion here. Hikers and bikers have made an impact as well. We cannot reverse erosion, but we can work together to slow it down. Trail crews construct things like narrow drainages and stair-like structures across the trail to keep gullies like this from deepening.
The best way to combat trail erosion is to recreate responsibly and stay on designated trails that are being actively stewarded by trail crews.
That is very good to know. Thank you, Emily.
You're welcome.
All right.
See ya. Let's, yep.
Just,
Bye.
all right, bye. Perhaps you've heard of the sticky monkey flower, an iconic wildflower species of the Sandhills. Did you know that the Santa Cruz Sandhills ecosystem is home to not one, but two different types of monkey flowers? The second species is known as the Santa Cruz monkey flower. It is much, much more rare. It is visually distinctive, very different than the sticky monkey flower. And it is right over here. Okie doke, here it is, growing only a few feet off trail and teaching us the importance of sticking to designated trails. And it's also just the cutest thing, no bigger than my pinky. This plant is endemic, which means that the only place in the entire world where it occurs is here in the Santa Cruz Sandhills ecosystem. Furthermore, it's listed on California Native Plant Society's watch list, which means, hey, let's keep an eye on this plant because it's so rare and its population and habitat are declining. All that jargon aside, this is just a beautiful plant. The combination of pinks and yellows is absolutely exquisite. And what a great reminder this monkey flower is that rare and sensitive plants are growing immediately adjacent to trails in this landscape. Let's keep going. That's a snake. Oh, crikey! Oh my gosh, I knew it was possible, but I had zero expectation of actually crossing paths with one. Friends, this is a rubber boa. In my humble opinion, this is the most unique snake species that we have here in the park. Okay, so this is the only boa species that can be found in Central California, and mature snakes can reach lengths of about 3 feet. The life expectancy of these boas is somewhere between 40 and 50 years, so just about as old as a middle-aged human. It's incredible. You might be noticing the similarities between the head and the tail, and this is a means of defense against potential predators. I haven't actually seen this, but evidently when these snakes are threatened, they'll hide their heads in their coils, raise their tails, and trick the predator into attacking their tail. This is why very often you'll find boas with a lot of scarring. I'll be honest, I don't know why I ran towards this thing. It's not like it moves fast or anything like that. Even though rubber boas are somewhat of habitat generalists, meaning that they occur in different ecosystem types, they do seem to have a higher density here in the Santa Cruz Sandhills. And furthermore, the females only reproduce like every 3 to 4 years. So respecting these snakes and their habitat is very important to maintain what is already a very cumbersome, slow, and delicate reproductive cycle. Okay, so I am going to carefully move this rubber boa to the other side of the trail to make sure it doesn't become a snake pancake roadkill, which unfortunately we see from time to time. So this boa is really teaching us to be observant and careful when we hike and bike and walk our dogs. And we are going to wish this fella a good day. Thanks so much for teaching us. Oh my gosh, I love you. I love you, buddy. Okay, bye. That's a wrap, my friends. After a short walk, we were able to find and observe a handful of rare, unique, and interesting things in the Sandhills. The park is really depending on all of us working together to keep this ecosystem happy and healthy, which in turn will allow us to continue enjoying it. Finding the balance between human recreation and conservation is very important, so please help out by staying on designated trails, staying out of closed areas, and therefore reducing the amount of impact like erosion that we cause to this landscape. And furthermore, sharing this information within our communities and getting everyone on board. On behalf of the entire park and everything that lives here in the Sandhills, like this gorgeous ponderosa pine, thank you in advance for stewarding this ecosystem. We'll see you out on the trails.